one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know, we gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places. Talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time when night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time when night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time when though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know, we gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is with struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, We ain't giving up the river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know, we gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is with struggle.
Honorable members, I declare this 54th sitting of the National Assembly of the 12th Parliament of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana to be duly constituted and in session. The clerk will lead us in prayers.
Almighty God, we are here gathered together. We most humbly beseech thee to guide us in all our consultations, so that we may together build a land where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, and where words come from the depth of truth. Grant us, O God, an aid and guidance, so that we may deal justly with the several causes that come before us, laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and personal preferences, so that the result of our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion, the preservation of justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the President, and the peace and prosperity of Guyana. Grant us, O God, the vision so to lead, that all the people of this fair land may enter in that state of brotherhood and unity, where the mind is led forward by thee with the ever-widening thought and action.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Messages from the President. Announcements by the Speaker.
Honorable members, join me in welcoming to the gallery the person performing the duties of President, the Honorable Member, Madam Gail Teixeira. Madam President, thanks for joining us. Honorable members, a few announcements before we start. First, our apologies for an untimely start this morning, but I think the session that we had will help as we go through the debate for the next few days. And so let me thank the Honorable Chief Whip for the opposition, Mr. Jones, and the Acting Chief Whip for the government, Minister Sonia Parag, for the session earlier this morning so that we can have an agreed list of speakers and timing. So thank you very much. And Madam President also joined to assist with her institutional knowledge in these matters. My congratulations to the Honorable Member, Madam Dawn Hastings, on her appointment as General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform. Congratulations, Madam President, on all of our behalf. Some other pleasantries. Today, two honorable members of the House celebrate birthdays, and no other than the Honorable Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Charles Ramsden Jr. Happy birthday, Charles. And the Honorable Dr. Bharat Jagdeo. Happy birthday, Mr. Vice President. And on a sadder note, we announced the passing of former Member of Parliament, Ms. Gloria Bancroft, who sat in the House, I think it was 2 different sessions in this Parliament. Our condolences to her relations. Mr. Clerk.
Presentation of petitions, presentation of papers and reports, etc. Reports from committees, oral questions without notice, questions and notice.
Honorable members, there are 4 questions on today's order paper. Questions number 1, 2, 3 are for oral replies, and question number 4 is for written reply. The 3 questions that we have are in the name of the honorable member, Mr. Figuera. Mr. Figuera, you may ask your first question.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me join you in congratulating the Honorable Madam Gail Teixeira, Her Excellency, acting. I trust that you would use your powers to amend the budget to bring some relief to the ordinary citizens who are struggling from the hardships of extremely high cost of living. Also, Mr. Speaker, I would like to extend birthday greetings to the Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Honorable Charles Ramsden, and Dr. Bharat Jagdeo. I trust that your years would bring you greater wisdom to continue to serve the people of Guyana. Mr. Speaker, the consistency of not having consistent parliaments makes these questions that I'm about to pose lose its potency from the time it was presented. With that said, Mr. Speaker, can the Honorable Minister of Health, my goodly friend, inform this House how many health facilities are in Region 10 and how many are located in Linden?
Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I'm sure the member is aware that in Region 10, there are 29 health facilities, and in Linden per se, there are 9 facilities. Just for the members' information, in 2022, the Ministry of Health would have invested in 25 of these health centers, doing repairs to them, in some cases very extensive repairs, and in other cases they needed minor repairs. But you can rest assured that 25 of those health centers last year alone was upgraded. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Figuera.
Follow up. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the Honorable Minister informed this House of the 16 Amerindian settlements in Region 10. How many of these health facilities are there? And we are very much happy with the upgrade. But are those upgrade accompanied with appropriate drugs?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I must say to the Honorable Member that in Region 10, I would say that all the outlying health centers and health posts have been upgraded. And if the member want, I can list all of those that we have upgraded and how much money we have spent on each of those. But just to say that in addition to fixing the health center, we have also added equipment to the various health centers. As you would know, we have a package of service that we want to deliver at health posts and health centers, and we are working to make sure that that can be delivered. And one way of ensuring that is to ensure that they have adequate equipment. And in the case of medicines, we have ensured that they have ample supply of medicines for the types of intervention that they need to do. Again, we put medicines based on the competence of the people and the level of the facilities that we have. This is nothing new. So a health post and a health center would attract a specific list of medication. Then when we go to district hospital and regional hospital, it's another set of medication that is allowed at those facilities. So yes, in Region 10, they have adequate supply of medicines.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Figuera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My next question is for the Honorable Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport. Can the Minister inform this House how many was paid to secure the Caribbean Premier League, CPL, semifinals and finals for the years 2022, 2023, and 2024, which is to be played here in Ghana?
Honorable Birthday Minister.
Yes, forgive me, Mr. Speaker. I hadn't paid attention to the fact that those questions were for today, but I'm happy to answer since I have the knowledge. No money was paid for the securing of the CPL finals. There's been no cost to the Treasury for the hosting of the CPL finals and semifinals in Guyana.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Figuera.
Okay, so if I get the Honorable Minister very clearly, is he saying no cost was attributed for the procuring of these games together?
So it's not procurement.
Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to securing tournaments, games, etc., countries have to bid. And then they also have a negotiation process. There has been, what we have negotiated has come at no cost to the Treasury. We have made no payments to CPL for securing the finals and semifinals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Figuera.
Would Ghana be the beneficiary of the television rights, given the fact that the semifinals and the finals will be hosted? And or those a part of the negotiation?
Honorable Minister.
The answer is no.
Thank you. Honorable Member.
Can the
Figuera.
Minister inform this House what was the cost for rental of the use of the National Cultural Center for a day or night at December 2019 and March 2022 for the theater's performance?
Yes, so I'm happy
Honorable Minister.
I'm happy to share with the honorable member that all of the rates that the ministry inherited from the previous administration, which I'm advised that the surcharge had been increased, but all of the rates have been maintained. The position, while there was consideration for increasement, the cabinet is increasing those rates. The cabinet was of the view that the rates for the cultural center should be maintained.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Figueroa.
So your consideration for increases did not impact the cost for rehearsal either?
Honorable Minister.
Because there's two different pricing situations. Are you saying it remains the same?
Honorable Minister. Thank you. All rates remain the same, Honorable Member. Thank you, Honorable Members. Honorable Member, the fourth question is in the name of the Honorable Member, Ms. Amanza Walton Desir, and it's for the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. The answer to this question has been received, and in accordance with our practice and standing orders, the answer has been circulated. Mr. Clerk.
Statements by ministers, including policy statements. Personal explanations. Request for leave to move the adjournment of the National Assembly on definite matters of urgent public importance. Motions relating to the business or sittings of the National Assembly and moved by a minister. Introduction of bills. Public business. Government's business.
Honorable members, the Assembly will now resume the debate on the motion for the approval of the estimates and expenditure of the financial year 2023. The first speaker today is the Honorable Member, Ms. Nima Flu Bess. Honorable Member, you may proceed.
Born in the land of the mighty Roraima, land of great rivers and far-stretching seas. So like the mountain, the seas, and the river, great, wide, and deep in our lives would you be. Onward, upward, may we ever go. Day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana's sons and daughters can be. Thank you, Mrs. Speaker, and a pleasant good morning. I would like to extend birthday wishes to the birthday fellows in the house. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I must say that after listening to the budget presentation, some adjectives came to mind. Uninspiring, hopeless, misleading, troubled. Adjectives which crossed my mind along with the many unparliamentary terms as I listened to the laborious presentation by the Honorable Member Ashley C. At the end of his presentation, I had to try to navigate all the history, jargons, and untruths so I can educate my fellow Guyanese what they should be bracing for. Mr. Speaker, it's amazing when you are dealing with uneducated people. Mr. Speaker, on the matter of history, since the PPPC government was placed into office in 2020, their first budget, a plan for prosperity, resulted in the destruction of the people at Success, East Coast, Demuaro. Their second budget in 2021 was set on a path to recovery with economic dynamism and resilience. But what we saw was the average Guyanese being resilient with the economic doom. When we thought, Mr. Speaker, when we thought those on the other side of the house who are in recovery after being out of office for 5 years and had learned something about serving people, 2022 proved no different. With the largest budget, Mr. Speaker, the Guyanese populace got a good feel of what it meant to be steadfast against all challenges. Steadfast against all challenges. Mr. Speaker, challenges of the high cost of living, with prices climbing, shelled from $100 to $500, sugar from $300 to $500, oil, Mr. Speaker, from $360 to $800. All of these challenges, Mr. Speaker, the Guyanese populace had to deal with. The grants, Mr. Speaker, static, but the prices keep climbing, and the people clinging for survival. Businesses enjoying all the removal of taxes, but what can they say? Were the customers benefiting from this tax reduction? I ask those on the other side of the house, can you tell us if the customers were benefiting from all the tax reduction given? What measures were in place to ensure that customers benefited from the tax reduction? Mr. Speaker, from my investigations, we have not. These challenges were further complicated with the 7.2% inflation rate as stated in the 2023 budget speech that lashed Guyanese in every possible way. Mr. Speaker, as an ordinary citizen, I went through and I was wondering this 7.2% inflation. And then I called all the people I know, because those on the other side say they know all the maths. So I called pension, 28,000, and if you calculate a 7.2%, that is increased, you actually find in $2,016 less. So the pensioners actually got $25,984. That's all they could benefit from when they go to the shop. Mr. Speaker, when you talk about grants, $25,000, you do the 7.2% from it, they actually benefit with $23,200. You talk about the $40,000 and the part-time jobs for the $40,000 a month. When you have a 7.2% inflation rate, you actually take out $2,880 from your $40,000, and they actually receive $37,120. Mr. Speaker, $150,000. When you calculate the 7.2% inflation rate, what you got? They actually got $139,200. Mr. Speaker, this is the reality on the ground. This is what we, the Guyanese people, have to deal with every single day that you go out to the shop, to the markets, to the minibus and all of that. You know, Mr. Speaker, all the hype all the hype. When you talk about the inflation and you go simply for a flour, $500 with inflation, you actually would spend $536 for the pack of flour, Mr. Speaker. But then again, static income. But all the time the price is going up. The people at the shop, Mr. Speaker, if they go to the minibus and the minibus increase the fare, when they come back, they would say $536 plus $2 for the transportation. So the ordinary Guyanese will pay $538 for the flour. Mr. Speaker, if they go to the market and they have to get a cartman to push the product to the minibus and they increase their monies, that price will go right back to the customer. So the reality is, Mr. Speaker, that is what our Guyanese populace have been dealing with. And when we examine budget 2023, we do not see any additional measures to bring ease to it. So the question is, did the government actually do any evaluation to come with new measures that can bring relief to the people? You would talk about the increase of pension to 33,000, but now you have to wonder, Mr. Speaker, how will the inflation rate affect this increase? What will be the inflation rate that will affect what will take place this year? So the seniors, as much as they would be happy to have $33,000, Mr. Speaker, then it is the responsibility of the government, Mr. Speaker, to find additional measures to help the seniors and all those that are getting this little pittance for increase so that they can survive. What happened? Why is it that the pensioners can't turn up at the pension office and collect a bag of basic grocery with the additional $33,000 that can bring some proper relief to the people, Mr. Speaker? These are things that we look at, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the well-being of Guyanese is at risk with the added stress of trying to survive. I hear you. Mm-hmm. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Yes, Mr. Speaker. As I was saying, all of these things are adding to the stress of people trying to survive. That is what we're dealing with. Therefore, we're creating a more unhealthy population because people have to figure out, how am I going to manage this money? How am I going to deal with this thing to provide for my family because the income remains static? Mr. Speaker, you know one of the amazing things about preparation of the budget, when you sit down and you go through it, the military got this increase, right? And they were all excited. But then when I sit down and I calculate, and you see after the 8% they got a particular money, right? Then when you calculate the 1 month bonus that they actually get, and then you divide it, and you take away all this inflation from it, the people actually only get about $14,000 bonus money that they could talk about. If you sit and do the calculation, you will see it is actually just $14,000. When we talk about bonus, we mean it's something really extra that you could get something from it. That's what we talk about bonus, Mr. Speaker. But again, we want to fool our people with words. Mr. Speaker, as I continue, Mr. Speaker, the government demonstrated what it meant about being resolute in building one Guyana. They seized the opportunity while we were still in the festive season to broke up the homes, all the personal belongings, bury the animals, kill fully laden fruit trees, and hence destroy the main economic source of income for 9 families in 7 households at Cane View, Mocha, Mr. Speaker. We talk about a budget that is supposed to protect and provide for the people, but what we have seen, Mr. Speaker, is not that. Mr. Speaker, when we speak of Cane View, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, when we speak of Cane View had homes. People spent years building land, farming, providing for the children, an entire culture was destroyed from the actions of the government. They send in, Mr. Speaker, they send in the weapons of mass destruction, the CPH workers, the police, the bulldozers, all of this was used to destroy the livelihood of the families at Caneview, Mr. Speaker. The budget ought to give hope, Mr. Speaker, but where is the hope? Where is the hope, Mr. Speaker? When we have seen that this administration that we're dealing with continues to take action that destroy the lives of our people, Mr. Speaker. When we see that they continue, Mr. Speaker, to destroy the lives of our people, Mr. Speaker, it causes me and many others, Mr. Speaker, to wonder what really is going on in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, how much of the allotted sum to Gaisuku in 2020 budget was used to flood the people at Success? Mr. Speaker, what percentage of the Ministry of Housing and Home Affairs budgeted sum of 2022 was used to break up the lives of 32 Guyanese at Caneview, Mocha? Mr. Speaker, there is no justifiable reason, none, no justifiable reason, Mr. Speaker, that persons on those side of the house can give for the inhumane and brutish action they have taken against the people of Caneview, Mr. Speaker. There is none, Mr. Speaker. You see this picture, Mr. Speaker. They broke the home and leave a single mother under here with her child to live. When the woman take the street, then she was given a home, Mr. Speaker. These are things that we deal with, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when we talk about destruction, these people were people who are farmers. Mr. Speaker, this is just one example of a cow that lived in that area, Mr. Speaker. They were told to sell it, Mr. Speaker, and move to an area where they cannot continue their farming, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you look here, this is another example. Pigs, a farmer with 17 large pigs, Mr. Speaker, and we talk about finance, and you talk about the livelihood of people, and we're destroying the lives of people. Mr. Speaker, this farmer had to sell everything that he has here to go and stay at a relative, Mr. Speaker, and struggling to get up, Mr. Speaker. These are produce that they've destroyed, Mr. Speaker, bearing trees. This is the evidence, Mr. Speaker. We have the evidence here. Mr. Speaker, when we finish all the destruction that they finished, Mr. Speaker, this is what was left. One family save a table with a piece of black cake, so it tells you it was the festive season, and this container, that was all that was left from a family of 5. This is all that they saved, Mr. Speaker. And we're talking about budget 2023. Why do we have to use the resources of this country to destroy the lives of our people when there are methods and mechanisms that can be used, Mr. Speaker, to deal with these issues, but they were not employed, Mr. Speaker? You know, they talk about all of these things that happened, Mr. Speaker. This, Mr. Speaker, at the end of the exercise was found on the road, Mr. Speaker. All of this, they said they didn't use live bullet, they didn't use this. These are the evidence, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, for you to continue to conclude, you'll get 5 more minutes, but someone has to move that motion.
Thank you. Comrade Speaker, I do move that the Honorable Member be given 5 minutes to conclude her presentation.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Honorable Member, just before you continue, we do have a standing rule with respect to displays, and we also have a standing order with respect to quoting and citing sources. And if you want to produce all those pictures, we'll have to get date, time, who shot it, so that we can lodge all that you have displayed so far with the records. You may proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank God I'm the photographer, so I can produce my evidence to you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know, this is the evidence of the ending of Caneview. After the monies budgeted last year was spent to destroy the lives of people. There you have where Caneview was, and this is where the road will be. Mr. Speaker, it is alarming to note that we sit in this House and we pass budgets. Budgets are to bring hope to people, not to destroy the lives of people. Mr. Speaker, right through my constituency, Mr. Speaker, several actions of marginalization, disrespect, and injustice continues, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the government of the day, Mr. Speaker, does not engage people in any proper discussion. It's all about bullying. It's all about pushing. It's all about doing these things, Mr. Speaker, to let people believe that we have a master of the day. May I remind this honorable House, Mr. Speaker, slavery was abolished 1838, and this time in 2023, why should we be dealing with such erratic behavior, Mr. Speaker? We should not be dealing with such erratic behavior, Mr. Speaker. We should not be, anybody should not be faced with this, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when we speak of prosperity, prosperity means that people must live in peace. Prosperity means that people's rights and liberties must be protected, Mr. Speaker. So the actions of the government, if they're truly sincere about their budget team, if they're truly sincere about improving the lives today and building prosperity for tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, what we would expect to see, Mr. Speaker, is that our local Democratic Council, Mr. Speaker, will be given the opportunity to serve the people in the right way, not political operatives going and distribute grants, distributing flood relief, doing this, doing that, and not meaningfully engaging our people, Mr. Speaker. If we speak of prosperity, Mr. Speaker, it means, therefore, Mr. Speaker, that every Guyanese will be treated equally and be respected when the government is distributing its resources and dealing with the people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for listening to my presentation. I trust that the members on the other side of the House will take the opportunity to serve as they would have read in and took in the oath of office, to serve without fear and favor and affection and in will, and will serve the people of Guyana truly and justly. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Our next speaker will be the Honorable Minister of Labor, Mr. Joe Hamilton, and ministers and shadows will get 30 minutes and a 5-minute extension. Honorable Minister,
thank you very much.
You may proceed.
Well, hear nonsense now.
Mr. Speaker.
Hear about the nonsense now.
Mr. Speaker, January 16, Minister Ashley Singh presented a budget to the people of Guyana. The theme is improving lives today and building prosperity for tomorrow. Our policies, our programs, our measures, they were articulated in the budget presented by Minister Ashley Singh. How we will execute these programs, how we will pay for the programs to be executed, the benefits it will bring to the Guyanese people, and who the beneficiaries would be.
Friends, family.
Mr. Speaker, the next 5 days, the citizens of this country and the nation at large will be treated to exposition like we just had not so long ago, of profanities, banalities.
Better than you rambling. Better take this time to see.
Mr. Speaker, all kinds of vulgarities. But what I can assure this House and the people of this country The permanent opposition will not bring to this parliament any program, any plans, any policy that is comparable to that we have in the budget.
We spend 1 week prepping.
Mr. Speaker, nothing productive,
Like you,
nothing constructive,
like you.
nothing developmental they would bring.
Labor.
Mr. Speaker, you know, the basic tenet of a debate is when you oppose, you propose.
You talking, Joe?
The basic tenet of a debate
Talk about your,
is when you oppose, you propose.
talk about your ministry, man.
But
Talk about your program, your policy.
for the next 5 years, 5 days,
Talk about your program.
all you would hear from that side of the house, the permanent opposition, and that's why they will be the permanent opposition.
You can be here still.
Because they are incapable. They are incapable of presenting any program and policies to the Guyanese people towards their development and well-being. We left programs for them to execute when they were in government, and they failed miserably, even though the money was available for them to do it.
Talk about the next year in front of us, the man, Joe.
Mr. Speaker,
Talk about what's happening.
so what we will have the permanent opposition, Mr. Speaker.
Opposition.
They will denigrate,
Talk about
they will chastise,
talk about your policy.
they will criticize,
Talk about the vision.
and even demonize the budget.
Because the
But as I said earlier, Mr. Speaker, they will put nothing comparable
when you put forward some,
before we have already put forward.
what is your ministry doing?
We have already put forward.
What is your ministry?
Take your time, take your time. Nothing in any sector, in not one of the sectors, they will bring to the Guyanese people any plans and programs that is comparable.
What are you doing for your ministry?
Mr. Speaker,
Talk about your ministry and your programs.
because they are politically and intellectually incapable of doing that.
Oh, Father.
Politically and intellectually incapable.
1 week
They
after,
have no capacity to think.
huh?
They have no capacity to put a vision before the Guyanese people, and you will get for the next 5 years just what we had by the speaker before me.
That's last year's speech, Joe.
Mr. Speaker, ineptitude and incompetence reigned
10 minutes,
on the benches of the permanent opposition.
10 minutes later, nothing on the ministry.
I want to give you, Mr. Speaker, some examples of how incompetent they are.
Of your policies?
Mr. Speaker, I want to start with the Lilliputian little party there, headed by one Comrade Ramjatan. They issued January 14th immediate release to all the press.
You
Here,
can.
what the proposal is:
That is your ministry.
a monthly electricity subsidy for all categories of consumers, 5,000 for domestic consumers, 10,000 for commercial, and 15 for industry.
One guy needs people to afford to.
You know, Mr. Speaker, what
You oppose it.
the Guyanese people must take note of, that this opposition, when they're in government,
Sit down, man.
they remove the subsidies
What are you
from elderly, from the pensioners, and they added VAT to electricity and water charges. You think the Guyanese people can be fooled?
You're a fool.
And most importantly, another measure Mr. Ramjatan is proposing: provide duty-free concessions and VAT exemption on equipment and machinery for businesses involved in agriculture, private sector proposal. Mr. Speaker,
Joe,
Mr. Speaker,
Joe, you're a minister.
Mr. Speaker, the incompetence I am trying to point out.
Huh? And you can't even talk about your ministry.
The AFC is proposing
You can't.
a measure that was already executed since 2020.
Talk about your ministry.
Oh my God! All you have to do is go on the GRA webpage and check it out. Let me read for you.
Read the empty cell.
Mr. Speaker, the 7th of September 2020,
This is your budget presentation.
the People's Progressive Party Civic Government has made good on its promise on the removal of value-added tax in several sectors to ease the burden of Guyanese. This was disclosed by His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, during a press conference today at Ottachong Convention Center, 7th of September 2020.
Stunning budget presentation. Stunning, stunning.
Mr. Speaker,
Good work with the
the
ministry.
President said that the measures will bring relief,
Ministry good.
stimulate economic activity, increase the country productive capacity, reduce the cost of doing business, and facilitate the growth and development of businesses. The measures, President Ali said, will have an immense impact on people's welfare and well-being and improve living standards.
Labor Joe.
Topping the list
Labor Joe.
is the removal of VAT immediately on water and electricity,
Anybody ask for 5 minutes?
which was introduced by the previous administration.
Anybody ask for 5 minutes?
The president said this will help every aspect of life and put money in the people's pocket. Further, removal of VAT and duties on machinery and equipment to allow for the recapitalization of key sectors, which includes mining, forestry, agriculture, and manufacturing.
What is your ministry?
This is coupled with the granting of tax concessions to making mining, forestry, and manufacturing, agriculture. Mr. Speaker,
Ministry doing, Joe?
you see the incompetence. That is why they could not have accomplished anything in government.
What is your ministry doing?
Mr. Ramjatan party is asking for something that was already effected
Tell us what you are.
2.5 years ago.
Oh, Mr. Speaker, stop this madness.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, stop this madness.
then we come to the opposition leader.
Will you come to your ministry yet? When we come into your ministry? When we come to your
Mr.
ministry?
Speaker, we come to the opposition leader.
When we come into your ministry?
He reasoned that while it is good to put resources towards agriculture, the issue is that there is little or no emphasis
No increasement.
on manufacturing, and therefore resources should have been put to the sector as well as each of the non-oil sectors in a profound manner. Mr. Speaker,
Joe, when we come to your
you know the thing is,
You know?
the opposition leader is talking about manufacturing and its expansion,
Your ministry.
and they killed the Amila Falls project. The opposition leader now in 2023 speaks about
I thought
expansion, yet they had the Red Plus money for 5 years
it's your court airport.
to improve and to invest in alternate energy, and they failed miserably. And this gentleman comes and he now talks about what you will do in manufacture. Mr. Speaker, he too said that the excess focus on infrastructure, this according to him, is because this is where corruption occurs. The leader of the opposition said the government seems to like calling big figures. How much money in this and that? What is missing is what impact it will have on the lives of the people. And when it comes to the impact on the lives of the people, this budget is dead meat. Mr. Speaker,
Anand, if you ready to speak for me?
if you're incapable of understanding
I wrote a defense
what the impact,
suspension case.
the positive impact will be on citizens by building a bridge across the Demerara River, then you're lost. If you are incapable of understanding what the positive impact will be of allowing tens of thousands of Guyanese to own their own homes, then you're lost. If you are incapable of understanding what the impact is of making available thousands of scholarships to young people so that they can elevate themselves, then you are lost. And that is the reason why I started off by saying you are the permanent opposition. Permanency. Mr. Speaker, again, Labor, you're in Labor. Mr. Speaker, again, oh, I'm arrogant?
Yes,
oh, all right. All right, you were talking about arrogant. Mr. Speaker, further the opposition leader went on to say, he said poverty reduction and poverty alleviation are absent from the 2023 budget. This seems to be a budget for the rich. Mr. Speaker, building tens of thousands of houses and giving out house lots for ordinary people. That's a policy for the rich. Making available scholarship for the young man that live in Shelton. Making available scholarship for the young teacher that live at Paramakatay or in Maracabay. That's for the rich. Mr. Speaker, then we come to the honorable gentleman. I'll get to you in a moment. You don't dictate. You don't dictate. You don't dictate how I present. Mr. Speaker, you will have your opportunity. Mr. Speaker, then we come to Senior Counsel Roysdale Ford. Honorable member, there is every reason, he says, he's the wannabe opposition leader. He says there is every reason for Guyanese to feel this budget, the largest ever in the country's history, could create possibilities for increasing corruption if President Ali does not return to the anti-corruption policies of the coalition government. My God, you can't make this up. You cannot make this up. Imagine this honorable gentleman.
Minister of Labor with no Labor president.
This honorable gentleman who brought in a fuel boat and was hustling to have the fuel boat pass the Demerara Harbour Bridge, failing to pay $36 million to the Guyana Revenue Authority. This honorable gentleman, who whilst being chairman of the Gaming Authority, established a scheme to have a businessman who was qualified to get a casino license, that he paid to a third party $2 million US. And we're returning to the Granger anti-corruption policies. I mean, imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine that, Mr. Speaker. And now we come to what you all want me to speak about. You want me to speak about labor? I will speak about labor. Oh, you're in a hurry? Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. I have enough time. First, I have to deal with incompetence and ineptitude. Secondly, I have to deal with, Mr. Speaker, secondly, I have to deal with Little League Norton. And thirdly, I have to deal with the fuel smuggler who's telling us about corruption. Mr. Speaker, what you want to do? You want to fight now, my God? Oh boy. You hear what happened there? Oh Lord. Ramjatan, Mr. Speaker, I seek your protection here. Mr. Ramjatan want to fight. He wants to fight now. He wants to go outside. He wants to put on the boxing gloves.
But honorable member, going outside maybe to something else doesn't necessarily mean to fight.
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Labor, re-established by the People's Progressive Party civic government, when we came into office, a promise and a commitment we made to the Guyanese people. I will speak to some of the programs. Mr. Speaker, the APNU AFC, Mr. Speaker, in 5 years,
That's the program?
dealing with the Board of Industrial Training. They care so much for young people and their development. Mr. Speaker, in 2019, we started oil production. It was indicated to this nation in 2015 that we found oil offshore. But Mr. Speaker, the government of the time, they did nothing as regards the development of the necessary skill sets that were needed for Guyana development. Mr. Speaker, average, and you're acquainted with it, average amount of persons under APNU they train via the Board of Industrial Training is between 1,300 to 1,500 persons.
I thought we do nothing.
Mr. Speaker,
I thought we do nothing.
nowhere outside of the coast they made any attempt to include riverine and interland communities within their training program. Mr. Speaker, to report, we came into office August 2020. And by the end of the year, we would have already trained 2,000 persons. 2021, we trained 3,086 persons. And in 2022, Mr. Speaker, we would have trained 4,500 persons. The fact is, the numbers can be validated. You can go and check it. Mr. Speaker, between the period 2020 to now, under our government, Mr. Speaker, we trained 7,500 persons under the hand of the Board of Industrial Training. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2023 provides for us to train about 7,000 persons. So, Mr. Speaker, we are moving from a place where first you had no labor ministry, so they could not even talk about anything as regards labor. They come here, they talk about labor, talk about labor. Why you didn't talk about labor when you're in government? You had no labor ministry. Mr. Speaker, what is important to note also, apprenticeship program that was dead under APNU. We were able to place 173 apprentices in 2022. 144 at the Gaisuko Training Center, males, 7 females, 151 persons were trained as apprentices at Gaisuko Training Center under the auspices of the Board of Industrial Training. Bosai, 17 persons were trained as apprentices. So we're moving from zero. We are moving from zeros to 173 persons trained as apprentices in technical areas. Mr. Speaker, you have no understanding. Apprentices and training programs are 2 different things. Oh my God. Mr. Speaker, again I repeat, in 2.5 years, the Board of Industrial Training trained 7,500 persons via the programs that we executed. And secondly, we made available 173 persons to be trained as apprentices in 3 different companies, so that the people over there understand.
What about the stipend, Joe?
Mr. Speaker,
Stipends raised?
Mr. Speaker,
What about the stipends, Joe?
Mr. Speaker,
The stipends, Joe.
coming out of training, what we do is tracking. Mr. Speaker, thus far, we have been able to successfully track from the 2021 trainees 715 beneficiaries, and that program continues. I can report, Mr. Speaker, that 75.1% of those persons trained are gainfully employed.
Where? Part-time jobs.
Mr. Speaker,
Part-time jobs. 10 days a week.
and 4% of those persons, they continue to study. Mr. Speaker, the program will continue. We have expanded this program, Mr. Speaker, and we have already started collaboration with companies that are in oil and gas. We have signed several memorandum of understanding with companies. We are about to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Aeronautics School in Ogle. We have just signed an MOU with the Electrical Inspectorate of the Ministry of Public Works to ensure all people that we train as electrical installation personnel, they can be certified. Mr. Speaker, we come now to Labor Department. Mr. Speaker, the work of the Labor Department, we were able in 2022, via 913 complaints from walking employees. The ministry resolved 85% of those complaints, and we recovered, on behalf of employees, $40 million from employers. $40 million on behalf of ordinary men and women. Mr. Speaker, collective labor agreements. In 2022, the ministry countersigned 23 collective labor agreements between labor unions and employers. Some employers and labor unions, they refused in 5 years under Abdul stewardship to even sit at the same table to have a conversation. We were able to bring them together via mediation, and we were able to countersign 23 collective labor agreements. Mr. Speaker, in 2022, we conducted 13 conciliations. Mr. Speaker, the ministry also provided advisory services for foreign companies such as SBM Guyana, Guyana Shore-Based, ExxonMobil, Schlumberger, and Newcrest Guyana. Mr. Speaker, this engagement continues. The labor landscape is changing. We have just made available for the public 2 studies that were done by consultants. One by the ILO that speaks to the deficit of technical capacity to service the oil and gas industry, and one done by Dr. Vishnu Durga, Action Coach, in the construction sector, that has indicated what is the present state regarding the deficit in skill sets. Perhaps we would not have been at this dismal place in Guyana if APNU AFC did some work in this regard. So we have to play catch up now because they did nothing to deal with the matter. Mr. Speaker, we have been doing awareness and sensitization programs around the country. I have said last year that we have moved from no labor ministry to establishing labor ministries in all regions across the length and breadth of Ghana. In some instances, we have labor ministry established. That is, you have no understanding of anything. That is region 6, we have 2 offices.
That's different from a labor ministry.
Offices of the labor ministry we have established in the last period across the length and breadth of the country. Mr. Speaker, the fact is, he said the labor ministry was always there. I have just said, Mr. Speaker, the evidence is, in 5 years under the APNU AFC, there existed no labor ministry. You had a labor department in the Ministry of Human Services. That is clarity. Oh my God. Oh my God, I wouldn't even respond to that. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency. Mr. Speaker, the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency, we have moved it from a place where only walk-ins for people who have interest in seeking employment. We have established in March of 2022 a job bank to make it easy for people. Somebody says an old-time thing. Valda Lawrence, you were the ministry, you had a job bank. Mr. Speaker, we established in March 2022 a job bank where a total of 3,300 job seekers sought employment and 239 employers were registered. Mr. Speaker, the job bank continued to expand to reach Guyanese across the country. Mr. Speaker, we continue also the walk-in, and 837 persons came to CRMA as walk-ins, as job seekers. So even though we established a job bank, we still continue to utilize the premises at 82 Brick Dam. Of the persons who sought our help, 146 of those persons were placed. Mr. Speaker,
You got to put back Mansour as labor minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Occupation Safety and Health Department. Mr. Speaker, when we took government in 2020, workplace deaths in 2020 was 32 persons.
You bring down the officer.
Mr. Speaker, in 2022, based on the programs and our policies, that was decreased by 16%.
Honorable member, for me to bring you back to conclude, I will have to get an extension for you of 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, may I ask that the honorable member be given an extra 10 minutes to conclude?
Yes, honorable member. Honorable member, honorable Labour Minister, you may continue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 2022, the amount of workplace deaths, it was decreased again by 20%. So, Mr. Speaker, in 2 years, we are moving from a place where in 2020, 32 persons lost their lives. in workplaces. And yes, we have moved, Mr. Speaker, 2022, that has decreased to 21, and the work continues, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the specific matter of workplace death, for me, it is not statistics, because every time someone is killed at their workplace, that is a family of some person. The husband, the child, the friend of some person. Mr. Speaker, so we continue to engage both public sector and private sector. We continue to establish workplace health and safety committees. We continue to help resuscitate those in private sector and public sector. Mr. Speaker, the Co-op department, Mr. Speaker, this year, Mr. Speaker, regarding cooperative societies in this country, we will have to resolve or dissolve, because the nation must be told and informed that cooperative societies in this land of ours, they have in their possession tens of thousands of acres of land, most of it non-productive. Let me repeat. Mr. Speaker, cooperative societies, they have in their hands lands that belongs to the state, tens of thousands of acres that are unproductive. Most of it, in many instances, are run by some family or some one man who took it over. That took it over, and it's unproductive. Let me clarify. Mr. Speaker, whether the Lands and Surveys, whether the Forestry Commission, whether MMA, we will have to make those lands productive, because as we continue to speak about food security and agricultural expansion, we cannot afford, the nation cannot afford, that tens of thousands of acres that are in the hands of co-op societies, they continue to be unproductive. I have tasked the co-op department, and we have just concluded an integrity audit of co-op societies so that we could understand the state of play. And Mr. Speaker, as we go forward, and I make no apologies for this,
Nobody's asking for it.
I have asked Lands and Surveys, I have asked the Forestry Commission, I have asked the MMA to make available the information to us as to the amount of lands that co-op societies they have in their possession.
90%.
Those that want to work for development, we will work with them.
The answer they are.
But what we will not continue to have happen, people utilizing the farcical umbrella of co-op societies when they have government land in their possession. And I have no apologies to make.
Nobody's asking for
The action, as I said, is either they resolve these matters or they will be dissolved. Mr. Speaker, let me
trade unions, we need co-op. I know.
let me say, Mr. Speaker,
That's why you go for problem everything.
that,
Problem.
as I said, when I started, I will end. The permanent opposition over there,
Permanent nonsense.
I contend that in 5 days, they will chastise and criticize our budget.
As opposition.
But I am confident
As opposition.
that they will not be capable to bring any comparable program to put before the Guyanese people, challenging what is in this document. They will not be able to do that. And the nation will be the witnesses in the next 5 days.
Just witness you madness.
You'll see the display. The display with the first speaker, that is the same display you will have with all the other speakers on that side of the House. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, we're going to take the lunch break after this, but before, let me acknowledge in our presence this midday the Honorable Member from Suriname, the Honorable Assis Kumar Gayadin. Assis. The Honorable Member is the leader of the Progressive Reform Party in Suriname and leader of the coalition in Parliament. He has been elected the President of the Committee of Human Rights and Democracy of the Interparliamentary Union, and several of our honorable members here are very familiar with the Honorable Member, Mr. Assis Kumar. So thank you, Assis, for joining us for this sitting. Honorable members, we will now take the suspension for 1 hour.